How to create a design completely from scratch using Figma. Today, we're starting a new series where I'm going to start by designing a complete React app. Then we're going to go ahead and develop the React app, and then I'll take you guys through the deployment process. If you guys missed the last series, I'll leave a link up top and down below for you guys. Navigate to Figma Student on Google, and it's going to take you to figma.com/education. And this is going to let you set up a free account in Figma if you are a student or a teacher. So go to this link here. I'll leave it down below in the description for you guys, and click on Get Verified and go through the steps to get your free account started. Now we're gonna just navigate to figma.com and we're gonna go ahead and click log in here. If you guys don't have an account, go ahead and create one today. Once you guys sign into your new Figma account, or maybe an account that you guys already have, you're gonna notice a lot of stuff going on here. Basically, here is going to be all of your templates. This is gonna take you to all your teams here, and for now I have 2 different teams, and it'll show you drafts as well. It'll let you go to the FigJam board here, which we're not really gonna get into in this video, and then it'll also let you import things right here. Over on the left side, you're gonna notice that it says Tom's team, and here is where you can change teams or even create a new team, and we'll do that in a second. And down here, it's gonna show you guys all the projects that you have recently had open. So what we wanna do here is we actually wanna go to our team projects here, and we want to create a new team. For now, we don't want to worry about any of this because we're good with the free version. So we'll create a team, and I'll go ahead and call this Kalman Web Design 2 since I already have Kalman Web Design, and click create team. And from here, you can actually send out links to add people to your team. So these people will have access to your files and be able to make edits, and you guys can work on it all together. But for now, I don't want to add anybody, so I'll go ahead and skip. And then it's gonna obviously try and get you to upgrade again. We just want to choose the starter plan, so we'll go ahead and click on that one. And now you guys can see the name of our team up here at the top of our page, and now on the left it is also an available option here as well. And since we're only using the free plan in Figma, it's only going to let us have 1 project within this team. If you want to have more than 1, you have to upgrade to create more projects right here. But for us, 1 is perfectly fine, and we can always create a new team if we need to. So what we're gonna do is navigate to where it says team project here, and you're gonna notice that it has 4 areas. What we're gonna do is select the one in the top left corner right here. And now you guys can see that it opened a new project file for us, but it's called Untitled right now. When we're gonna go ahead and click on that and just change it to real estate app, because that's what we're gonna be designing today within my team as a team project, and it is called real estate app. And you're gonna notice that we don't have anything yet because we didn't copy in a template or any assets yet, because we're gonna be designing all of that from scratch today. So what we want to do is start off with our framing tool here, because this is going to give us all the frame sizes that we're going to need. And what we're going to do is we're going to start down here in presentation where it shows us 1920 by 1080. We're simply going to click that, and it's going to create that size right here. And you guys can adjust the height of this and the width if you need to. Name this something specific because it's just named something generic right now. So we're going to go over here to our layers, and we're going to double click this, and now it's going to let us name this. So we're going to call this our React app home, and this is going to be for the desktop version because we're also going to create a mobile design for this application as well. And now for a few quick tips. 1, you're going to use control a lot. So if you hold control, it's going to let you zoom in and out using the scroll on your mouse here. And if you hold down shift, it's going to let you move around your project here. But what we want to do now is navigate up here to the shape tools, and if we click this little arrow, you're going to see all the different options that we have for shapes, as well as an image and video option here. What we want to do is start off with a rectangle, and we're simply going to construct our header here for our application. So we're just going to drag it across the top like so, and we're going to make sure that this fits the entire width of our design and is right up here at the top like we want. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to add an effect to this. So we're going to click this plus button where it says effects. We're going to select drop shadow here and know that there's a few other options as well. And now to actually customize this drop shadow, we're going to click this little sun icon here, and that's going to let us get into the settings. So now what we're going to do is we're going to specify exactly what we want. So our Y is good, but our blur is going to be 10, and we're going to want a spread of 1. And now what we can do is we can navigate back to our fill color, click on this, and we simply want this to be white. So we can make it white like so. Now we want to add some text to this project. So we're going to select our text tool and simply click on our layer here. And we're going to type in real estate. And you guys can see that this is completely tiny and you can't actually see it. So what we want to do is resize this, and you can do it over here in the text options on the right side of your screen. And we're going to use the font Alpha Slab 1, and then we're going to change this to a size of 48, and we're going to make sure that this is capitalized, and we're going to move this up into our header. So what you want to do is click out of this, make sure that you have your move option selected here, and then you can just drag this up into your header like so, and it's going to help you align it right in the center like you want. Now we're going to start setting up the first color that we're going to be using today. And what you guys can do if you're confused on what colors to use is literally just go to Google and search for color scheme ideas, and a whole bunch of stuff will come up. You have Canva, which is a good resource, Webflow, and you can just scroll through here and it'll give you a synopsis of some good colors and what emotions those colors elicit in people. And so for us, we're going to start off by using a blue color. So again, we want to have our text selected here. We want to go to our fill color, and we simply want to paste that color here and then click off of it, and it will change our color of our text here. And now we can go ahead and just start copying this text all over our website. So to do that, hold Alt on your keyboard. It will create this double arrow right here, and just select and hold your text here, and then you can just drag it out and it will copy it for you. So now what I'll do is I'll just copy this over to the right side of my screen. I'll double click it, and now I can just type in home, for example, and this obviously doesn't need to be such a huge font, so I can change the size of this font to something like 24. And I also want to change the font that I'm using here, so I can type in some fonts, and I can also kind of look through a complete list of a bunch of different fonts that Figma already has available. But for us, we want to use one called Radio Canada, so I'll simply change it to that. And then I can adjust this by clicking out of it. Make sure again you have your move option selected, and then we can just drag this over to the right side of our header. And then to get these perfectly aligned, what you can do is select this item, hold shift, then click on this one. It will select both. And then if you scroll all the way up to the top of your design tools over here, you can use the alignment options here. So in my case, I want to align them vertically. So I'll just go ahead and click that, and it will align them perfectly with one another. And this, I want it to be right in the middle of my page. So I'll go ahead again and click align horizontal. And now while I have both of these selected still, I can align them right in the center of our page, simply by allowing Figma to show me the dimensions and get that right in the center like I want. And now I have a clean, simple header set up and ready to go. What I want to do now is, since all of this is my header, is I'm going to go ahead and select it, and then over here in layers, I can right click and create a component. And this is going to create what's called a component, and it's going to be reusable throughout your design. So it's going to be really easy to do. So for example, now that this is a component, I want to go ahead and name it, for example, navigation or header. And then from here, I can hold Alt, drag it out. And now you're going to notice that this is the parent component because it has the 4 squares here, but the child has an open square here. So if I go ahead and edit the parent here, it's going to edit every instance of this component that I have on the page. So let's say I go ahead and change this to bakery. You're going to notice that it changes both of them. But if I only edit the child component, it's not going to edit the parent. So if I change this again to bakery, you're going to see that it doesn't change the parent. So I'm going to go back, change it to real estate. So keep in mind that you need to remember where your parent components are located. What I recommend doing is actually taking your parent components and moving them outside so you know that these are your components. So I'll go ahead and list all my components that I create in today's video right here, so I know that these are the parents, and then the child, I'll just move up to take its place right there. And so what this does is it keeps you organized and you know exactly where your parent components are, and this one you can change to whatever you want without affecting the parent. So now from here, since this is a component, what I want to do is copy this home text here. So I have to double click to get into that component, and then I can go ahead and control copy, go outside of the component and paste it. And now I can drag it over here, and make sure you keep an eye on this because you don't want this text to end up by accident within your component. You want it to be outside of that component. And now that we have this text out here, go ahead and in your layers, make sure that it is not accidentally copied into your component, because that's going to lead to a lot of issues for you guys later on. You don't want this to be part of your component unless it needs to be. Now we're going to use this as our main heading on our page. So we'll go ahead and select all this text, and I'm going to go ahead and paste in some text that I already have. And you guys can see all I did here was make the font a little bit bigger and bold the text and make sure I centered it in the middle of the page. Now I'm going to go ahead and copy this text one more time, go ahead and paste it, and again make sure it's outside of my component. Center this right here, and you're going to notice that Figma does this handy thing where it shows us an exact spacing between each of our elements, so we can have them each spaced apart evenly. But we don't really want that necessarily for this, so we're actually going to move it up just a little bit more because we don't need that much spacing between our header and our text here. Now I'm going to paste in some more text, and this text is going to be here to describe the point of this application that we're going to be creating. Again, we're not going to be writing any algorithms or anything today. This is simply just for us to use as reference when we start developing. So this is going to say, use our real estate appreciation calculator to find out the appreciation of your property at a 5% rate for the next 10 years. So this is going to be really useful for residential real estate, and the 5% rate is a standard rate of appreciation of homes each year. And I know some real estate guru might watch this video and say, no, it's really like 5.1%, but I just wanted to keep it at 5% to keep it simple for this video. And now what I want to do is copy this text again by holding Alt and dragging it out, and I want to change the size of this to something much smaller. So I'll change this to 36, and this is going to be our property information right here. Now I'm just going to move this over just a little bit like so, and leave a little bit more spacing between this and our heading and text here. Now what I want to do is actually create a form. So what I'm going to do is select the shape tool. I want to use a rectangle, and I'm going to drag it out just like so. And from here, this is going to let us actually add corner radius to it right here. And I'm going to add a corner radius of 10. And I also want to add a stroke around this element. So I'll go down to where it says stroke, hit the plus button here. And now for the color, I want this to be part of our color scheme. So I'm going to select this blue color like so. And then I'm going to change the stroke to something more like 2 to give it a little bit more of a noticeable stroke here. I'm going to select this text again, drag it down, and what I'm going to do is say current value, and you're going to notice that it's displaying behind this rectangle that I just made. That's because over here in layers, it's below the rectangle. So what I need to do is drag this up above the rectangle, and you'll be able to see it now. What I'm going to do is drag it over like so, and place it right here at the top left corner of our property information. And this is a little bit too dark here, so I'm going to actually go ahead and change the fill to something a little bit lighter here, and I think that looks a bit cleaner. Now to actually start adding some form fields, you're just going to again use your rectangle tool, drag it out like so, and then again I'm going to add some border radius, and then I'm simply going to drag this in here, make it fit perfectly in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and select both of these, position it in the center, and then I need to move my text over to match it. So I'll just drag it until it matches up in Figma for me. Fill, I'm going to change to something like white, and then I'm going to add a stroke to it, and I'm going to make this the blue color from our color scheme that we're using. And that's not what I wanted to do. I actually wanted to go down here and create a stroke, and now I can change the color like so. And now I want another form field inside of property information. So I'm going to select the text, hold shift, and select this one, and then I'm gonna hold Alt and then just drag down with my mouse like this, and now I have 2 of it without having to create it from scratch. And this I'm just gonna change to current year. Now what I wanna do is create a button, so I'm just gonna copy again using Alt and dragging, and then I'm gonna go down here and create a basic button. So I'm gonna resize this, make it just a little bit slimmer like so, and then I'm gonna use the text again, drag that, put it inside of our button here. Now I need to drag up that text above this shape, and I'm going to say calculate, because that's what we're going to want to do once somebody enters their information here. And then we're just going to center these together inside of each other. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the fill of this button our blue color like so. I'm going to bold our text since it's a button here, and I'm going to change the color to something like white. And then this, I think this, since it's a button, the sizing should be a little bit bigger. So I'll change this to something like a 32 size font so people can see it a little bit more clearly within this button. Now what I want to do, since everything seems a little scrunched up here at the bottom, is I'm just going to select this shape here, drag this down just a little bit, and then I want to select both my text and my button here, and I'm just going to go ahead and drag it down like so, just a little bit, and try and get proper proportions on the top and bottom of this design. So go ahead and drag it just a little bit more like so, and now you guys can see I have a form completely set up in Figma. And then to make this a little bit easier for people and give a better experience when they're using this application, I want to add some example text. So this is going to be an example of $100,000 like so. And then for the current year, what I want to do is again add an example. So I'll say example 2024. Now we want to create some more content here. So we're going to select all of this, hold Alt, and just drag it over right into the center. And this is going to be where the information displays for our user. So right here, we're going to display the appreciation of that home. So first, what we want to do is extend this down a little bit because it's going to need to be a little bit larger. So we'll just click that, drag it down, and obviously we don't need these form fields anymore. So we'll go ahead and get rid of that, as well as our button here. And what we want to do is add a background shadow to this. So we'll add an effect and then select drop shadow here. And then we want to select our drop shadow settings here. We'll go ahead and select it like so. And then from here, we want to get rid of our stroke. So we can click this minus icon here. And then we want to change our background fill to white. So we'll select it like that. We'll go ahead and move these texts down just a little bit. And then we want to add a new rectangle. So we'll select our rectangle tool, add it in like so. Make sure this fits the full width of this. And then what we can do is we only want the rounded corners on the top 2 corners here. So what we can do is click over here where it says independent corners, and we can type 10 and 10 for the top 2 corners there, and see how it's rounded on the top but not on the bottom corners here. Now what we want to do is make this just a little bit smaller like so. And then we want to add the second color from our color scheme, which is going to be a brown color. So we'll go ahead and paste that in. And then we're going to drag this text into it like so. Again, we need to drag this above our rectangle. And then what we want to do is change our fill to something like white so you can actually see it. And we're going to drag this up just a little bit, move it down just one more. And then this doesn't need to be so large, so we'll make that a little bit smaller. And then we want to again make sure that we're aligned within our shape. So we'll go ahead and push this over just a little bit, make sure we're aligned. And this is going to be years 1 through 5. And then again, we want to make sure this is completely aligned. And then we can delete one of these texts, and then the next one is going to be our first year. So since our example is 2024, we want to estimate the value of this property and the appreciation in 2025. So we'll change that to 2025. We're going to make this bold instead of just regular. and we're going to position this appropriately, maybe move it down just a little bit. And then from here, we want to have a line coming out into the right, so we have a clear divider between each year. So we'll go over here to our pen tool, and you can also select the pencil tool if you need that. But for now, we're going to select pen, and we're simply going to click, and then you're going to see that it lets you move it all over the place. To keep that from happening, go ahead and hold shift, and now you can move it straight, or it'll do a 45-degree angle here and even straight up and down vertical line for you guys. So now I'm going to go ahead and put that like so, and then to finish that we can just click done, and then this needs to be our brown color, so we'll change that like so here. And then we want the corners to be rounded, so we can select endpoint down here, and it'll give you a bunch of different options, but for us we just want it to be round. And we're also going to change the weight of this to something more like 3, and we're going to zoom in a little bit because now it's starting to get small. And then this we're simply going to position right here as a dividing line between each of our years. And then this we can just drag down, and then we're going to change that from bold to regular, and then we're going to call this value, and then we're going to change the color of this to blue, and then we're going to drag this down one more time just below where it says value, and we're going to change this to our first year's value. So we started with a $100,000 property, and now our property in the next year is going to appreciate by 5,000. So that's why I'm getting this value. And I just want to click and drag this, make sure we're all aligned correctly. And then what I'm going to do is change this color to black. Now what I can do is select both of these and simply drag it over like so, right at the center until I hit that center point within this container. So right there is going to be the center within our container, and we're going to change this to appreciation. And so for our first year, our appreciation value is going to be $5,000 at a 5% rate. And now, since we have the basic layout for each one of our years set up, what I want to do is select all of these by clicking and dragging. But if I do that right now, it's going to move our background container. So what I can do to prevent that is temporarily I'm going to select it, and I'm going to select the lock icon here over in layers. And now it's not going to let me move it even if I select it. So if I have it selected, it won't let me move it. Now I can simply drag over each one of these, and now what I want to do is create a component out of this. So what I'm going to call this component is I'm going to call it individual years here. And if you're just a designer and you have to send this information to developers, make sure you're extremely descriptive of each one of these components, shapes, and text within your design, so it makes it easier on them. In our case, it's not going to be as important, but it's still going to help us when we get into the development phase. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold Alt and drag this out and include the proper spacing. But again, since this is our parent component here, we're going to click and drag this out and put it over here with the rest of our parent components, so we can change that later if we need to. What we're going to do now is select this component and just drag it up to where the parent was just at. And then from here, what we can do is just drag this out until we have each one of our first 5 years. And so now you guys can see that we have each one of our first 5 years here. And what I'm going to do is just swap out the years, the values, and appreciation for each one of these. Have all the years and corresponding value and appreciation information for each year of this property. What I want to do now is zoom out just a little bit, and I want to scroll down until I get back to that component that I locked earlier. What I want to do is unlock that, because I think I need a little bit more down here at the bottom as far as the spacing goes. So I'll increase the spacing just to stay even with the top up here. Now you guys can see it looks just a little bit cleaner. Also make a component out of this form over here. So I'm going to select all this form, and I'm going to right click it and create component and simply call this form. And again, even though I'm not doing it in today's video, it's a good idea to label each one of these down here below that are not text. So like this, you can call form field, for example. Now what I want to do is select the appreciation over here, and again, make a component. So I'll create component, call this appreciation years, like so. And now that really cleans up our layers section over here, and you can still navigate to each one of these items by simply opening it, or you can again double click and go to each individual item. And so again, this is going to be a parent. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag this out so we can make a child. We're going to select this, put it over here, drag the form out, take our parent component and move it over here with the rest of our components and put the child in its place like so. And then I'll also take this child element and put it in the correct place as well, and zoom in. I want to move these up just a little bit to make it a little bit cleaner, like so. And then this one's not aligned properly with that text, even though it's a minor difference. You want to make sure everything in here is aligned perfectly, again, so you're a good designer. And this is going to be based on a $100,000 property. What I want to do is put these just a little bit closer together because I think they're a little bit too far apart. So I'm going to move this form in just a little bit, and then I'm going to move this one in just a little bit as well. And then for this child component, I'm going to go ahead and change it out for the second 5 years. And now you guys can see we have years 1 through 5 and years 6 through 10 set up as an example for a $100,000 property. And once we start developing this with React, it will change dynamically based on the user input. But for now, we're just getting our design down. Need a little bit more information down at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and select my frame here. And if I drag, you're going to see that our line spacing changes. So if I go back and now I hold Control and drag down, it's going to let us create some more space at the bottom without affecting the content within our frame. So here what I'm going to do is copy this text down here, and this is going to be where our total appreciation displays. And we're going to copy our button, paste it, and now we can drag this down, and we're going to make this just a little bit bigger. So we'll go ahead and go like this, and then we want this text, and we'll move it down here, drag it up above our rectangle, and then we need to change the size of this as well as the colors. And then for the first 10 years here, this is going to be our total appreciation value. So we'll go ahead and paste it in like so and get this all aligned with each other here by using our alignment tools. Grab this, and we're going to create a component called appreciation. Create some more space down here at the bottom. So we'll select the frame, hold Control, and then here is where we're going to create our footer at the bottom of our page. So we'll go ahead and drag this out like so. Then our background here, we want it to be a light gray, so we'll change that. And then we want to take our logo up here again, copy this, paste it, and drag it out of our navigation up there. Simply place it like so here. And then we also want to get our home, so we'll drag that in so we can have a basic sitemap down here like so. And this is going to be a single page application. And now we want to select our pen tool again, and we want to have a line like so down here. And we're going to select done. We're going to change this one to something more like 2. Change it also to something more like a dark gray down here at the bottom like that. And then we also want to align it in the center, and we want it to go all the way from each side of our text. And we're going to grab this text again and move it right down here in the center. And this is simply going to be a copyright statement at Kalman Web Design, all rights reserved. And we'll go ahead and center this in the middle of our page. And then the last thing we need to do here is make a component out of our footer. So we'll right click that again, and then we'll simply call this footer. So now you guys can see that we have our complete desktop application designed here in Figma. Now the last thing we need to do is move our parent components over here to the left. So we'll move our footer parent outside of that frame, replace it here like so. And then our appreciation, we also need to change, put our parent over here like so, and then we'll simply move over here. And now what we need to do is create a mobile design. So what we're going to do is go back to frame here, and what we're going to do is go to phone, and what we're going to do is we're going to select the iPhone 14 and 15 Pro Max, put it right over here, and what we're going to do is copy this text, and we're simply going to call this our mobile version. And you can also do this for tablets and whatever devices you want as well. There's a whole bunch of different options that you can choose from over here in Figma. So now to create my mobile design, I want to copy all this content by selecting the first item here, holding Shift and selecting the last, holding Alt, and then dragging over like so. And then you're going to notice that I need to make the header and footer not as wide. But if I go in here and try and select home and then drag it, it's going to make me drag the whole thing. So what I need to do is go in here, select that component, and then detach my instance. And now I can move it to the size that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and place it there. And then I'm also going to resize this rectangle here. So I'll go ahead and select the rectangle and just move it in like so. And then I need to do so again for my footer. So I need to detach this instance again. And I need to select this, move it over until it matches up correctly. And then I also need to move over this line, and I'm going to hold Shift to do that. And then I'm going to move over this text as well. And now that I have the proper proportions, I'm going to go ahead and leave that for now. And I need to reposition some of this content as well, because instead of having a 3-column layout, I want to have a 1-column layout. So I'm going to go ahead and put some spacing on this text by splitting it up, and then I'm going to align that to the center. And then what I'm going to do is put this right here, change this into a 1-column layout by simply moving it like this. And then I want to move this down as well, and our total appreciation needs to be moved all the way to the bottom. So I'll go ahead and move this in like so. Now what we need to do one more time is actually make this just a little bit smaller. Grab the footer and simply go all the way to the bottom and include it right here. Extend this frame all the way down until it matches. And then what I want to do is select all of this content here. And instead of just moving it in, what I'm going to do is actually move it in like so. And then what I want to do from there is go change this to scale, and then I can actually scale this all together as one until it fits in this design here. Now what I need to do is select all of this content because it's not correctly going into our frame there, and simply include it in our frame like so. And now you guys can see that it's in there, and we just need to make sure it's properly set inside of that frame. And then from here, I can adjust this by going back to the move tool, going to that frame, holding Control, and now I can just move it up to the bottom of my footer. And now if I zoom in here, you're gonna see that we have a successful mobile design. So as for prototype, you can go ahead and prototype in Figma as well. But for now, we're not going to go ahead and do that because it's only a 1-page application. So there's not really a whole lot that you can prototype. Now that you guys have a complete design here, what you can do is select share, and you can share this to other people by email. You can get an embed code, and you can publish to the community. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and publish this to the community. As you guys can see, you can select all the options that you want right here. I'm going to go ahead and do that after the video, and I will put the link to this design down below in case you guys want to go take a look at it. And one more thing I want to cover is if you guys want to include any icons in this, it's really easy. So what you want to do is go here and go to Figma icons, and from here a whole bunch of stuff is going to pop up. So you can pretty much select any of these, and they're all Figma community files. And from here you can open it right in Figma, and it doesn't really matter where you open it. I'll open it in Kalman Web Design 2 since that's the one we've been working out of. And then once this loads up, you're going to see a whole bunch of icons that you can use completely for free. So now you guys just need to scrub through this and figure out what icons you want to use. So let's say I want to use this plus here. I can simply select that, Control copy, go back to my design, and then I can just paste it right in here. And we're going to move it out, and then you can resize it as you see fit. And then make sure that you go inside and adjust the path as well, like so, because all of these are going to be component. And there's a whole bunch of stuff you can choose from just in this one, but there's pretty much a never-ending list of icons that you can use in Figma for free. And lastly, to present this, you can go over here to the play button where it says present, click on present, and that's going to take you to a new link here with your application, and you can scrub through the two designs that you have here, one for desktop and one for mobile. And then here you can actually change the size of this. So what we want to do is fit to width, and then from here you can actually see what it would look like on a live website page that has been developed already. So here's what the application is going to look like once we actually develop, but it's just a design right now, and you can also preview the mobile version here as well. If you guys have any questions, go down in the comments and let me know, and I will respond to you and help guide you through the design process for your own designs that you're trying to make. I hope this video helped out a lot. Thanks for watching.